Hi, welcome to Drilling Contractor. This is Linda Shea, and today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Ms. Julie Robertson, who is Executive Chairman of the Board for Noble and who also serves as IADC Chairman this year. Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Linda, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. We appreciate the opportunity.
So, we know that this has been a pretty difficult year for drilling contractors, in fact, for many businesses all around. Looking back at the first 9 months of the year, how do you think that drilling contractors have done as a whole in terms of dealing with a global pandemic and some of the worst market conditions that we've seen, some say going back to the 1920s or 30s?
It has been an incredibly challenging year, Linda. There's no doubt about that. Just about the time at the beginning of this year when we thought that we were finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and rates were improving a little bit, utilization was up, things were feeling better for the first time we were already in year 6 of a significant downturn, probably the worst downturn I've ever seen in my 41 years in this business. And just about that time is when we had the double black swan moment of OPEC hit, and then immediately followed by COVID. And so it's been an incredibly challenging year. But if there's any industry, in my opinion, that could weather their way through this storm, it's the drilling business, because that's what we do every day. I think we're a very resilient group of people. I think that's what's evidenced on our rigs every day. I think there's no people who are more creative at getting things done than rig crews. And that's one thing I've loved about this business for so long. What makes me love it as much as I do are the people who work on our rigs. They've really stepped up to the plate. Many of them were caught on the rigs, obviously at the time of COVID when travel shut down, and we're home. We're away from home for months, in addition to what their normal hitch would have been, and they have just weathered this seamlessly. We still have people who are still away from home a lot more than we want them to be, but in certain countries we're being asked to quarantine our employees, as all contractors are. So our employees right now are working, generally speaking, about 48 days on a rig, and they have only about 34 days at home because they have to quarantine for 14 and then go back again. So it's very challenging times, but our employees have done it with great resiliency. We've all risen to the occasion, I believe, across the entire drilling space. And we've done so while managing to remain with incredibly safe operations and running with the same consistency and efficiency that we're known to do with our customers. So I do believe this industry, if any industry could do it, we have shown how this can be done, and I think pretty seamlessly. I think if you ask our customers, with the exception of early on with all the travel issues, I think we've all done this incredibly seamlessly. So I think it's been very. I think we've demonstrated at our highest capability how flexible we are. Now, from a financial standpoint, of course, it's been a very challenging year for all drillers, particularly offshore, but the drilling space has taken a hard hit this year. Like I said, we were finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel on the offshore side, just about the time that OPEC and COVID hit, and so that has thrown most of the offshore drillers into a financial situation where we never anticipated being. Land drillers are hanging in there better. They didn't have the impaired balance sheets that most offshore drillers had, so they're in a better position. But all in all, I'd say we have weathered this year as an industry very, very well.
So, in terms of the work that the industry does through IADC specifically, how do you think drilling contractors have shown their resilience?
I think well, first of all, IADC has done a great job at jumping in and seamlessly continuing the year and all the operations that we have going on without any hesitation. I know early on, Jason jumped in, as I know we've talked about in IADC editorials in the last couple of months, jumped in and really went arm in arm with a lot of other industry groups in the industry, and were able to get some travel issues resolved for us, and just did a great job at trying to maintain our business as we know it. And so Jason and all the IDC team have done an incredible job. I think IDC members have done a great job by continuing to participate in all the IDC events. They've done so, unfortunately, virtually, because we as an industry are a fairly social group of people, and we enjoy getting together, but we have had to do that virtually, which is not to anyone's liking or first choice, but I think we've done a very good job at that. And I think people have attended, all the panels have gone seamlessly, the advisory groups have gone seamlessly. Everybody has continued the job, continued to work, and produce what we need to produce for IADC. We have more virtual conferences yet coming up this year. Again, we'd all rather be in person, but it's what we have to do for right now. One thing I think that really needs to be called out on behalf of IADC is the incredibly quick rollout that IADC did of WellSharp Live, because we were going to have a challenge with people not being able to go for well control training in person.
Mhm.
And so I think this really filled a gap for our entire industry. And I, again, will compliment all the IADC team for everything they did to seamlessly get that rolled out and very, very quickly. So I think it's been a year unlike any other, and not one that we would have liked to have had, but all in all, I think companies and the IADC have all stepped up and done everything we can to keep this moving ahead.
So, as luck would have it, this is also IADC's 80th anniversary year. If we look back at the past 8 decades since the association was formed in 1940, we can see that there have been vast improvements in the way that we drill wells, in the way that we protect our workers. So, when you look at the next 80 years, Julie, what do you see for the oil and gas drilling industry?
If I think, I sometimes feel like I've been in this business for 80 years. I haven't, 41. But if you think about what's been accomplished from the very first steam rigs that we had till now, I mean, it's unrecognizable. And now that technology is moving as quickly as it's moving, it's really hard to know where we are going with this. Just in the last 5 to 7 years, with automation and digitalization, data analytics, all the data that we're gathering now and analyzing, the interesting things that a lot of companies such as NOV are doing on robotics, and just the data analytics, that it's just amazing how this industry has changed just in the last probably less than 10 years. So to think where this is going to go in another 10 years, it's hard to even imagine. I'm a firm believer that, obviously we all know that in our business right now, we're not in favor from a politically, correct standpoint. Fossil fuels are out of favor. I'm a big believer, however, that for generations to come, we are going to live off fossil fuels and live off oil and gas. So, I think that we have to continue to find ways to do things better, and we are obviously doing that. One thing that I think is having us all focus on this is the fact that all of our investors are very focused on ESG metrics now. I believe that we have done an incredibly good job as an industry on ESG in general for a very, very long time. I just think, and all the elements of ESG, I just think that we have done an incredibly poor job of educating the public as to what we do as an industry and how we do it. On the environmental side, I think that most people would in the world be surprised at the environmental results that we turn in every year, and what we measure and how we measure it, and to the nth degree of what we measure. I just think that we don't get any credit for that, and I think that we need to do a better job educating the public on that. On a social standpoint, I think that we have all, in all the markets in which we work around the world, I know I can only speak for Noble, but I know all companies are the same. We get involved locally, we get involved with the people where we work, and we do great things for the locations where we are, and we certainly always leave them, not necessarily from an environmental standpoint, obviously we leave them in as good, if not better condition, but also socially. We do so much socially for the countries in which we work and where we work. And I think, again, we do a very poor job of communicating that. On a governance standpoint, obviously none of us could be working in publicly traded companies today if we weren't on top of our governance game. So that to me doesn't even need to be talked about. It goes without saying. We all do a great job there. But I think we need to do a much better job in communicating for the future of this industry. The first 80 years it's unbelievable how far we've come since this industry association has been alive. But just since the time that the first well was drilled till now, it's unbelievable the lives we have changed, the societies we have changed, the cultures that we have brought out of poverty with what we all do in this industry. I think is something that we don't think about very often, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for. And certainly the political world and pundits are certainly not giving us credit for what we have done. But where we can go from here, I think, is going to be incredibly exciting. I think we will continue to be, even though we've improved our efficiency so much in the last 5 to 7 years to 10 years, the amount of time it takes to drill a well now, between the efficiencies that we have created as well as the operators, is so much less than what it used to be. And we do it in a very safe, efficient, and environmentally friendly manner. And where we go from here on is just going to continue to be more of the same. I think that we'll continue to get better. operators will continue to work with us closely, and together, I think this industry just is on a trajectory for great things. But again, I do not believe that fossil fuels are going away anytime soon, and look forward to seeing what all we can do in the future to make those available to even more societies and more parts of the world in a cost-effective, safe, and efficient, and environmentally friendly manner.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for being here and for sharing those great insights with us.
Thank you, Linda. It's always good to see you.
And thank you to our viewers. If you would like to see more interviews with our industry's leaders, please go to drillingcontractor.org to access the digital edition of Drilling Contractor magazine. Thank you.